All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Finance Sense. My name is Devin Dean, and I work with the Central Mountain Small Business Development Center in Salida. Today, we're here with Candace Bryans, the founder of CB Wine Consulting, owner of BB Cowork. She's an entrepreneur, she's an SBDC consultant, and also a budget analyst for the Colorado Department of Human Services. So, for the next hour or so, Candace will be walking us through sales tax, how to set up a license, and select the appropriate filing timelines. We are recording this session so you can watch it on demand later, and I will be sending out the recording and slides later today so you can rewatch it in your own time and give us a shout with your questions. And if you do have any questions during the presentation, please feel free to type them into the chat or come off mute and we'll get those answered. But if you prefer to wait, we'll stop the recording at the end and you can ask those questions at that time. Next slide, please, Candace. And just quickly before we get started, the Central Mountain SBDC offers no-cost confidential consulting as well as free or low-cost workshops like this one, and assistance with access to capital. So please do reach out if you would like to register for a free consulting session. Next slide. Our center serves Chaffee Lake and Park counties, the three yellow areas in the center of that graphic, but we are part of a 14 center network. So if you don't live in one of those counties, we're happy to get you in touch with your best local resource. And so with that, that's all from me. It's my pleasure to give you Candace Bryans. Candace, thank you so much for doing this presentation for us.
Absolutely. So I know that sales tax can be just a little bit confusing for a lot of people. So the hope is to give you guys the most information with the most clarity that I can. If you do have questions at the end, and specifically if it's something I can't specifically directly answer, I may take some questions down and get contact information just so I can get information back to everybody that's completely accurate. So in terms of sales tax, we're going to be talking about Colorado sales tax licenses. Kind of explain what is a sales tax license and who needs one. Talk about the different types of sales tax licenses that are available. And then I'll walk you through applying for the typical like regular sales tax license through MyBiz Colorado. If you're filing for one location, if you're filing for more than one physical location, you have to use the form CRO 100. And I actually will kind of walk you through that document, answer any questions you might have about filling that out, discuss other license types and how to apply for them. And I've linked in all of the forms that you might need to this presentation. So if you need a different form type, a lot of the other license types that aren't just straightforward, you do have to file a form and send it in. And then I would talk just a little bit about understanding like the filing timelines, whether you're going to be filing monthly, quarterly, yearly. And then I'm going to show you how you can pay your sales tax online through Revenue Online. And then I'll take any questions that you guys have. All right, so Colorado sales tax a license. Who needs one of these? So Colorado sales tax licenses is for state and state administered sales and uses tax. Most Colorado sales tax license types are valid now for 2 years, which is nice. When I first started having a business, you had to redo it every year, but now they're good for a 2-year period and they expire every other year. An important thing to note is that in Colorado, services are not subject to sales tax. In general, tangible personal property is subject to sales and use taxes in Colorado. And I linked in, so CRS is Colorado Revised Statutes, and revised statutes get updated every year. So I linked in the main page for the Colorado General Assembly, and you can look up the statute that you're looking for. So if you're looking for Colorado Revised Statute 39, you would pull up Colorado Revised Statute 39 for the year of 2024. And then you would scroll through it and look for 26-102 15A1, and you would kind of see that, and they number each paragraph for you. just so you're getting the most up-to-date information, because laws and rules around sales tax do change yearly. So you want to make sure, if you ever look up the Colorado revised statute, you're looking up the one for the year that you're operating in, because they do actually change. And you don't want to think that you're following the correct rules for the year you're in, and they've changed it since, 2019, and you're looking at the wrong one. So that is important to note when you're in there. So let's talk about standard retail tax licenses. This is going to be the main type of license that you're going to be applying for if your business has one location or multiple locations, and you're just doing, like, people walk in, buy something from you, pay you sales tax on it. This is kind of the license type that you will be filing for. So standard retail tax licenses are for businesses that make retail sales in Colorado. If you make both retail sales and wholesale sales, this type of license allows you to do both. So in some states, they require you to hold a wholesale license and a retail sales tax license. In our state, you just apply for the one standard retail tax license, and it opens you up for both. So like when you apply for a wholesale account with a company, you're going to use your sales tax number, and they'll usually want a copy of your license. So there are a couple of different things about how to go about applying for that, and we're going to walk through the application process together. If you have one business location where you make retail and wholesale sales, you're going to apply for the Colorado sales tax license, and you have the option to use MyBiz Colorado, which we're going to pull that up and look at it together. Or you can use the paper form, which is the CR 100. If you have more than one business location, we're going to make retail and wholesale sales. They ask for you to file the paper application rather than use the MyBiz Colorado. MyBiz Colorado doesn't really give you the option to add additional sites. Once you've already established your sales tax license and you have your Colorado Revenue Online account, which I'm going to show you what mine looks like, just so you have a sense of what that will look like once you've gotten your license, you can add additional sites through there. And they have a messaging portal directly in there where you can message back and forth with people from the Department of Revenue. That will assist you with adding any additional locations, or if you need to change like the physical location of your business, et cetera. All of that can be done from within your Revenue Online portal once you've been issued your sales tax license. All right, so other types of licenses, and yeah.
I got a question here, or a question in chat.
Sure.
If
Sorry,
you're selling digital
the
question is, if you're selling digital products or physical products online and reside in Colorado, do you need a license?
It depends, and I have a whole section on online. So I'll go through it with you, because it depends on whether you're a someone who's facilitating the sale for somebody else, rather if you are selling products in person and online, there are different rules. And so I have a whole section about online sales, because I knew that's really why not everyone, it's really why a lot of people are here. So I'll go through that in just a minute and kind of break it down for you in a way that I hope like makes it really clear.
Okay. I think, yeah, and then the other question is, if you are only selling wholesale online or direct to consumer through pop-up events or farmers markets, is that considered multiple locations? There is not like a physical store otherwise. Is that coming up too?
Yes.
Okay.
And in particular, if you're selling at multiple markets, you're going to fall under the multiple special event license, and you'll have different requirements for filing depending on whether those multiple events are in person or online. We'll talk about both of those things.
Cool. Coming up.
So other types of licenses would be a wholesale license, which we said before is just in the state of Colorado, just the CR 100. It's normal sales tax license. Single special event license. This is for a temporary location other than your regular business location, and it's valid for one event where there are 3 or more vendors. And it's a 2-year license. It's free to all standard sales tax license holders. So to apply for a single event license, prior to the event, and you just want to make sure that if for special event licenses, you want to have filed the form because it's a paper form. And sometimes if you get a hold of someone really nice at the Department of Revenue on the phone, they'll give you their email and let you email that form in, which is really nice, but they don't always do that. But I always call if I need anything, because usually there's someone nice on the answering end of the phone line that will let you sometimes email your form in, so you don't have to snail mail it. But you want to just leave yourself enough time for that form to be received, processed, and you to get that license back before your event. You can come back after the event, but the process is a little more cumbersome. And then you're going to be retroactively paying sales tax, which then you could be late, and then you're going to be issued a penalty on top of the late sales tax. So it's better, like if you know an event's coming up, get your license first. Multiple special events license, that's a different form. That's a DR 0593. And that's if you're going to attend more than one special event and you know that you're going to, like you go to lots of different vendor shows, it's recommended that you apply for multiple event licenses or a multiple event license. It's a 2-year license for any place where there are 3 or more vendors. And the form itself has like explanations about how to fill out each of the sections. It's pretty straightforward. And then a mobile vendor license. Those are going to be people who are selling out of a truck or other vehicle. You have to have a sales tax license for your main office, whatever you designate that as. And once you've got that sales tax license for your main office, you'll log into your revenue online account and you can add sites to your sales tax license as you need them. There's no additional fee, so you're not paying for every site that you're adding. If you request like a non-physical site, like mobile vendors who are selling in a jurisdiction outside of the one that you have an account in, you can also do that by writing if you didn't want to do it through or couldn't do it through your revenue online account. All right, we're going to talk about certificates of exemption. So people that are going to be sales tax exempt and how to fill out the form to get that approved. And then we'll talk a little bit about online, and I'll take a minute to take some questions there since it seems like we have a few people already have questions. So if you are a 501c3, charitable organization, school organization, religious or government organization, you need to obtain your 501c3 from the IRS first. So until you have that designation, or you could be operating under the umbrella of an organization that is a 501c3, they would need to apply for the license. You can't apply for it through them. Then you're going to complete a form DR 0715. And I do have a page with all these forms linked in for you, so you don't have to go Google and find them all. Exempt licenses for contractors. So this is kind of interesting. It's used only for purchasing construction and building materials for tax exempt projects. So that license is only issued to the general contractor on the project. Subcontractors have to obtain a certificate from the general contractor in order to be tax exempt for materials on the project only. And for contractors who don't need a sales tax license, you're going to want to make sure that you've registered your trade name and renewals for your trade name. That is all through the Colorado Secretary of State Business Center. So you're not going to be reaching out to sales tax if you don't collect sales tax. You're going to handle business filings and setting up your trade name, et cetera, through a completely different department. So to receive an exemption certificate for construction contracts with tax exempt organizations, you're going to complete a DR 0712. And each of these forms pretty much has a basic section where you put your social security number or EIN, put your business information, the main site that your business operates out of, And we're going to look at this at the CRO 100, but it just kind of goes through a series of like different questions about your business, depending on the license type that you're applying for. All right, so online sales, let's do a little bit of definition time because this is where I think gets a little confusing. So online sales, I'm going to define what a marketplace is. All right, because a marketplace, in the most basic sense, is the venue or site where your products are offered for sale, lease, or rental. And in terms of thinking about online sales, it can be physical or electronic, but it's not limited to a store. It can be a booth, a website, a catalog, or a dedicated sales software app, where tangible property, commodities, or services are offered for sale, lease, or rent. All right, and we care what a marketplace is because understanding whether you have a tax liability or not has to do with how you operate within the marketplace. So a marketplace facilitator, that's going to be an individual or a legal entity that operates a marketplace. And they would apply for a marketplace facilitator license through a DR 1290. So a marketplace facilitator is subject to collect and remit sales tax in the state of Colorado only if it does all three of these things. If it contracts, it has to do all three, not one, but like all three of these things have to be done for someone to be considered a marketplace facilitator. And a marketplace facilitator does have to pay sales tax. So a marketplace facilitator would be like Etsy or an online facilitator who is going to contract with one or more market sellers to facilitate the marketplace seller. That's usually who the person using a service like Etsy is. If I'm listing my hammocks on there, then I am a marketplace seller. I am not the marketplace facilitator. I'm just selling my stuff there. So if they contract with one or more market sellers to facilitate the sale for in exchange for a fee, a commission, or other consideration, they also have to transmit or otherwise communicate the offer or acceptance between a purchaser and the marketplace seller, the person listing their good and the person receiving the good. And then the marketplace facilitator collects the payment from the purchaser and takes that payment and transmits it to whomever the marketplace seller is. So like if it's your hammocks, they would be collecting payment from the purchaser and then it's going to get deposited like with you in your bank account. All right, so in those instances, that's what a marketplace facilitator is. So then what is a marketplace seller? For the most part, most of us that own small businesses that use a facilitator, we would be a marketplace seller. All right, so if you sell products online through a marketplace facilitator, you're considered a marketplace seller. You are not required to collect and remit state sales tax for products that are sold through a marketplace facilitator. So, example, if you make hammocks that you sell on Etsy, and Etsy is the only place that you sell the hammocks, you don't have to collect and remit sales tax in Colorado. Etsy should be handling that part of the transaction for you. If you're a multi-channel seller, that's going to be if you sell products from your own website and or a store in addition to sales made via a marketplace facilitator, then you need to collect and remit sales tax just for the items that were made in your shop and sold in your shop or sold on your website. All right, so that means the sales that go through Etsy, you don't worry about those. So example, your hammocks are sold on Etsy, but you also have a brick and mortar store in Buena Vista where you sell the hammocks. You have to collect and remit sales tax on the sales made from your store or through your own personal website. If no one else is handling the transaction between you and the seller, then you have to submit those sales tax receipts. So I'm going to stop just a second before I discuss how much fees are for each of the licenses and just see if there are any questions real quick about the online sales.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
As far as online, if you make it and sell it out of your store, we know, but if you make it and sell it off your web page, aren't you responsible for sales tax for where that item is being delivered?
So it depends on where it's being delivered to, and if, so some states don't require any sales tax be paid, but yes, you would have to then look at the rules of the place that it's being delivered to. And I don't really go into that necessarily that much in this sales tax because I'm focused on Colorado sales tax.
But even
yes,
in Colorado, aren't we having to pay that county and city sales tax,
yes,
not Buena Vista's?
yes. And that would be when you set up your revenue online account and you've added additional sites. I believe, and I don't know because I don't have this in my account, but I believe that you can identify which counties you're in and submit that. You know, you would have different counties that you're going to be entering your sales for.
Thank you.
That makes sense?
Yes.
Okay. That is correct. You do have to, it's different. So if you're selling and it's shipping to Denver versus Buena Vista, then you do have different county and city taxes depending on, you know, the entity that you're submitting to.
One other
Can't you-
question, lodging tax. You did not mention lodging tax. Do you know how that is paid and put in?
You know, I don't off the top of my head, but I can look into that for you and get an answer back to you. Devin, I can't see the screen. Could you maybe just jot down who that is and I'll get information to you?
Sure can.
Thanks. Making a note for myself. So I'll circle back and get you information for lodging tax. Any other questions before we move
Question
on?
that we have from in the chat was, I am a meal prep service and I do not have brick and mortar right now. What license would I obtain? So food service online, I guess.
Where's the food being prepared at?
Hi, that was my question. My name is Kalea. It's being prepared at a commercial kitchen in Denver.
And you're delivering to Buena Vista?
Oh, no. No, sorry. I deliver to
That's okay.
Denver residents. Yeah.
In that sense, I would think that you would have to have a sales tax license and you would just remit sales tax charged. How are people paying you?
So people can pay through our website,
Okay.
but also some people pay through like Venmo and everything.
Okay. So, in that instance, you would have to have a sales tax license because there's through your website. You would just do a regular sales tax license through Revenue Online, and you would pick if you want to use the commercial kitchen. If you don't own the commercial kitchen, maybe use your own home address as the site for you. Just because I would, I'm not sure if it's like a commissary kitchen arrangement, but you would need to collect and remit sales tax because it's an actual physical product, especially if you're buying your food at wholesale cost, and you will want to. So that sales tax license allows you to buy your food at that wholesale price, which is better for you in the long run. So you would want to set up just a regular sales tax license, the CRO 100, or you can use My Biz Colorado, and then you're going to charge sales tax on top of your price of your meals. And then you'll probably, I would think, submit quarterly or monthly. We'll talk about how you know how much, how often to file, and then you'll just hold on to that money and then file it online through Revenue Online.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Couple
Okay.
other questions from the chat.
Go ahead.
Sorry, we got two more here. Well, one is going to be two-part. Okay, so digital products versus tangible products sold online, there's no difference if you're selling it through a marketplace facilitator. Is that correct?
So the marketplace facilitator, they would be in charge of collecting any sales tax if sales tax is due.
So it doesn't matter if it's a digital product or like a physical candle or something.
That's kind of a loaded question. It like, it kind of depends on what the product is. And if they want to shoot me an email, which I'll make sure that we've all got my email before I leave, I can look into it. So what I've had, so I own a co-working space, right? And I was trying to figure out, do we have a tax liability? Because people pay like a monthly fee to like use our office. And so they're not necessarily using a tangible product. They're sitting in a space. But we also provide several other things along with the service we provide. So like the food, the snacks that we have on hand, and the paper and the ink and all of that. So if your product contains other physical things that are part of the service or product you're providing, then you do have to charge sales tax. And I can try to help you figure out with your product whether you would or not. But I ended up calling the Department of Revenue and like confirming for me, like, is this technically considered including tangible products or not? So I'll get a little bit more information and help you figure it out. But no, if you're doing it through a reseller online, you shouldn't have a sales tax liability. And if it is truly a service like a digital product, you shouldn't have a sales tax liability. But I'll confirm with you what your product is just so we can make sure.
And the second part of the question is, if the online store address is a PO box, does it have to be in the same county that you reside? What about the same state?
That is probably a Department of Revenue question. I would think that if you're setting up a Colorado sales tax account, you would want to have a Colorado PO box or physical location. But I do know that you probably check in with them and just confirm that if you had an out of state one, what would happen then? I do think you might have to check in with Department of Revenue.
And then the one last question from someone else is, can we have a little bit more information about individual county taxes within Colorado? I have an online store and most of my business is outside of my county.
So my understanding is that once you set up your Colorado sales tax license, so like my main site is Chaffee County and Buena Vista. So in my revenue online account, since I've been issued a sales tax license, when I log in and put my sales in, it breaks out my county taxes. My understanding is you would need to have a total for the county that you've done your sales in. So your sales would need to be broken out, by county, at least by your either your POS system or in your accounting system. And my understanding is that in accounts that have more than one location, which you apply for those other locations through Revenue Online, that you can just enter your information for that specific county and it'll give you a total to pay, is my understanding. I do know that you can also, if it's like a one-off, other counties have where you can log into their website and enter your amount of sales there and pay directly through them as well. But my understanding is you can have multiple locations set up within your Revenue Online account.
All good in the chat. Thanks, Candace.
Okay. Yeah,
Sorry,
for sure.
I just want to follow up on that. That was my question. Do you know exactly where that lives? I'm on that page right now and I'm just wondering, this is the question I came for this whole webinar for. So I just want to make sure I can get it answered.
In Revenue Online?
Yeah.
So do you have an account to log into?
Yep, I'm on it right now.
Okay, so once you're logged in, have you applied for more than one location?
No.
So once I don't have the exact like the CRO 100 I have memorized. I'll give you the form that you need to submit for multiple locations or within your Revenue Online account. Do you see where you can message them?
Yes.
So that would be your best bet, is to send a message
Okay.
and say, hey, I have multiple locations that I'm selling products in. How can I set up to file for multiple locations online?
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And we're going to look at revenue online together. If you're like, what the heck is she talking about? I'm going to show you my account so you can actually see what it looks like to have logged in and access that. All right, so licenses and fees. When you're gonna apply for your sales tax license, these are the current rates. They change every couple of years. This is on the Department of Revenue website under the sales tax division, but just so you can see, they're not incredibly expensive. And now they last 2 years. So this is kind of a not very expensive endeavor. It can be really, you know, a money saver for you if you're trying to buy wholesale before you turn around and sell it to the customer. All right, so we're gonna walk through applying for a license, just so you can have an idea of the two different ways to apply for just a basic sales tax license, and then give you guys a couple of resources and show you how you can pay yours online. All right, so who can use MyBiz Colorado? Businesses with one location who make retail and wholesale sales can use MyBiz Colorado to set up their regular sales tax license. It also lets you set up your wage withholding account. And I believe your Colorado family account, if you have a liability for like saving for the family leave program. This walks you through whether you need all of those accounts and also helps you set them up. So there are a couple of things you're going to want to make sure that you have ready to go before you log in, or you're going to log in to set up your sales tax account, and then you're going to realize you don't have half the things you need and have to come back and do it later. So MyBiz Colorado, you're going to want to make sure you either use your social security number, or if you're going to use an EIN for your company, you want to have that set up already. You're going to want to make sure that your business is registered with the Colorado Secretary of State, and all of these blue underlined items are links so that you can click through into any of these sites that you need. And MyBiz Colorado is going to have you answer a series of questions about your business to determine timelines for filing. It'll help you set up your wage withholding account, an employment insurance account. So if you had employees, you'd want to have this set up, a sales tax account as well. So it'll walk, if you don't need, even if you don't have employees, you just say, I don't, and I will not have employees, and then it skips that section. But if you do have them or will have them in 90 days, it'll set it up for you. And then it also contains general information and links to Colorado state agencies, just in case you needed some more information about starting a business in Colorado. So I'm actually going to click on MyBiz Colorado really quick because I created a fake account yesterday. So I could kind of show you guys what that looks like. So when you get in here, I'm not going to click through the whole thing. It pretty much just finds out, okay, have I already set up my business with the Secretary of State? If you haven't, you say no, it gives you the information to go set one up. It asks if you'll have employees, and this is just figuring out if you need a wage withholding account. It asks some questions about like your goods and services, like what will you do? So pretty much it walks you through the whole CRO 100 application, all of the questions, and lets you type your information in. This is really nice because it helps you figure out what filing deadlines do I need, it tells you. And it helps you set up any additional accounts like for wage withholding or family if you do have other employees. So MyBiz Colorado, you click through all of these, and at the end of it, it emails you your account login information, and you have a digital copy of your sales tax license right there. They're still going to mail you a hard copy, but if you go through it here, it will set up your account for you automatically. And remember, this is if you have one filing location. So I'm not going to walk you through the whole thing, but essentially that's, if you do MyBiz Colorado, walks you through it. It's really intuitive. You're just going to want to make sure you're registered with the Colorado Secretary of State so you can tell it what your LLC is. or partnership or whatever you're registered as, and then your EIN or social security number so that the account is tied to you. All
Two
right,
questions, Candace.
sure.
Okay, so one is, do I need a special event sales tax license if I'm the only vendor at the event?
My understanding is that you do not, because it is less than 3 vendors. It's not, I don't think it's considered like a special event for tax purposes if it's less than 3 vendors. It's
Okay.
my understanding.
And then the other question is, if you say that you will have employees within 90 days and you set everything up that way, is there any issue if you do not end up having those employees?
Sure, you have to file regardless, and this will be a thing we talk about when we look at filing your sales tax. You have to file a 0 return. It just means if you said you would and then you didn't, you just filed the 0 return. You can't just like not file because you never hired people.
That's it for the chat for now.
Thank you. And so the CRO 100 is just going to be the same questions you were kind of answering in the MyBiz Colorado, but this gives you the option to tell a little bit more about multiple sites. So it's pretty straightforward. Is a new business. You only complete line 9 if you've purchased a business and the EIN did not change. So like if you have a transfer of ownership interest, so the EIN for the business stays the same, but the ownership interest transferred, this is the form you would want to complete so that you can keep your same sales tax license, same login, but at the end of the day, the person liable for the tax responsibility is the person listed in section 9. This is a 3-page application. So it kind of walks you through entering like who are the owners, if you're going to set up a sales tax account, what kind. And then we'll talk a little bit about how often you're going to file. I go through a whole slide of it, so we won't really go through it here, but it kind of just asks you what type of products you're selling. If you're setting up a W-2 withholding account, this is pretty much just the paper copy of questions you'd be answering in your MyBiz Colorado, but you can set it up for more than one spot. So that's really just the paper copy. Okay, just for ease of you not having to Google every one of these forms, should you need one, each one of these is a link to the form that you would need. And directions, right? So we talked about these when I kind of explained the different types of sales tax license, but this is just one page where you can come and find the link to the different forms. You cannot use MyBiz Colorado for anything other than a regular sales tax license, a wage withholding, and your unemployment insurance account, right? So these are all paper forms. And like I said, a lot of times they want you to mail them in. It's really nice if you can email them in. So if you call and talk to a human, often they'll give you their email. I had to change my sales tax license recently and talked with someone very kind who gave me their email and let me email my form in, and it was processed really quickly. So that is an option for you. Okay, so let's talk just a minute about filing timelines, so you can understand how it's determined when you will file. All right, so sales tax filing, wholesale licenses, you only file annually. If you have $15 a month or less in sales tax collected, not total sales tax dollars collected, you would file annually. If you're under $300 of sales tax collected per month, you file quarterly. And if you're $300 per month or more, then you're going to do monthly filing. If you're seasonal, they do give the option to list out the months that you're open and the expected amount of sales tax dollars or revenues to help you know when to file. And the reason it's set up this way is no one wants to find out that they have a huge sales tax liability that they don't realize at the end of the year, and then you're scrambling to come up with those dollars that hopefully you set aside, but it's so easy not to. Really, the filing timelines are there to kind of keep people accountable, to be able to make those sales tax payments. All right, wage withholding's a little bit different. So a W-2, those are going to be people that work for you that fill out a W-2. They're working for you all the time. A 1099 employee is like a contract worker. They work for themselves. They might work for you a couple times, but they're going to likely at the end of the year get a 1099 form from you. So they would be filing their own 1099 dues. So W-2 wage withholding, these are based on the same essentially dollar amounts. If you're $1 to $7,000, you're going to pay in quarterly. If you're $7,000 to $50,000, and this is based on the amount withheld, monthly, and that's like total for all your employees, not just like a employee. If we're talking about W-2s, or if you're withholding 50,000 or more, you'd be filing weekly. And that's just how often you're paying in and filing your report. Okay, so let's talk just a little bit about paying sales tax online. So Revenue Online is going to be kind of your place for paying and for other sales tax resources. So I've got a link there. The screenshot, I'm not going to log in right now, but I'll pull up the screenshot I have there is of my account once I've logged in. This is nice because there are also a couple of different like places. Once you log in, you're in your own personal portal, and I'll show you what mine looks like. But there are also a lot of like resources on the main page, even if you don't have like a login. I do suggest setting up a login because it then keeps all of your records. And when you file with MyBiz Colorado, they give you an account login. It's part of what you're setting up. So this, if I logged in right here, what I would see is for me, my sales tax information. So I had a retail account. I closed it because I don't deliver anything. I never have. I think it just got set up accidentally by the person that had it before me because now I own this account. So your sales tax license renewal, you can see I've already like filed that. If I wanted to pay my sales tax, there are a couple of different ways I can do that. So when I'm logged into my portal, see how it says received here. If I hadn't submitted it, it would say that one is due or upcoming. This would be red. And I would have the option to click on upload a spreadsheet, which that's nice if you have everything in your accounting software and want to download a spreadsheet. Or you can click on this view or amend return. And any of the information that you're going to be entering in terms of, and I'll show you if I clicked on view or amend in the next screen, what that would look like. Any of the information you enter into the spreadsheet or on the online form should come from your accounting software or your POS system, like with your actual sales. Ideally, your POS system is talking to your accounting system and you have real actual numbers. So you want to make sure that when you file, you're filing your actual sales for the time period that, you know, your return is being filed. And it's always like I file quarterly. So if I filed in June, I was filing for the quarter before that, right? You have so many days into the next month because you have to finish the quarter to file. So if I had clicked view or amend return, it would pop up this online like form for me. And I don't have any exemptions or deductions. So I just put in my total amount of sales that were taxable for the time period. And if you were in my portal and could scroll down, it'll ask you for any deductions, et cetera, and it will break out how much you owe in sales tax. You'll certify that, yes, this is correct. I entered the correct information, and it'll tell you how much sales tax you need to pay in. So that's really nice. It automatically does it for you. You can do a spreadsheet and upload it, but I feel like it's really nice if you're just organized and can pull your numbers and type them in. It tells you exactly how much sales tax to pay. You click file the form, it files for you, and you can either pay it right then and there, or you can schedule a payment out, before the due date, so you don't have any penalties to pay. All right, so important things to remember, even if you have no sales for a time period, if you have a filing liability, you need to file a 0. It doesn't mean you don't get to file. It'll ding you and give you a penalty for having no sales because you just didn't file for the time period. If you find that you don't need a sales tax license account, you can close the account or cancel it. People forget that they've got the sales tax account. They haven't just filed a 0 for periods, and then it looks like they have a tax liability they don't have. If you don't need it, close the thing. Be certain to file a return and make sure you schedule the payment. Just filing does not count as paying. So you can either pay right then and there, or you can schedule it. You can come back and log into your portal later and pay if you want to as well. If you realize you made a mistake and entered the wrong amount of sales and the sales tax you paid in is incorrect, you can click back into the return and amend it. There's no penalty for amending. The state will simply make you pay any additional sales tax owed, or it'll send you a reimbursement check to your account if you accidentally overpaid. Like, oh no, I thought I forgot to file my sales tax. I realized I paid it twice. Well, then submit the amendment for the time period. You go in and amend that time period. They'll send you a return check back. This is really important. If you sell your business, the new owner has to complete a CRO 100. If you just give them your login information, you are liable for that tax liability, even though you do not own the company, because that sales tax account is registered to you. So you need to have the new owner complete a CRO 100, that's section number 9. And this is if the business keeps the same FEIN or same EIN number. If the business is changing ownership and they're going to open a new EIN, you just need to close your account. And the new owner would apply for their own new sales tax license. So just make sure you don't keep yourself liable for sales tax that for a company you don't own anymore. I see that happen with people sometimes. Additional help. Where to get help? The Department of Revenue website is really helpful. I've linked it in. I've linked in a list of emails that you can reach out to. I find that emailing is great. I really love the taxpayer helpline, and schedule a call. You can go through, so you'll call and it'll prompt you to click to go to sales tax help, and then it'll let you enter your phone number. So you don't have to sit on hold forever waiting on somebody to call you. It'll give you kind of an estimated time, and somebody will, a real human, will call you back and can answer your more in-depth questions, especially if you can't find clarity on the Department of Revenue website. All right, that's all I have. So I'm going to let people ask questions if there are additional questions.
We've got some in the chat here. So let's see. How about if all of our sales are from vending machines? What if all of our sales are from vending machines? We don't charge a sales tax per se. And then the second part of that question is, if you accidentally overpay, can they keep it as a credit to the account and just apply it when it becomes due in the future?
So if you overpay, they usually won't do that. They want an actual check that has been mailed out to show that you received your refund. They usually don't do an electronic credit. They would usually just mail it back to you. The vending machines, I might have to check into. I don't necessarily know that off the top of my head.
There is a deduction line for vending machines specifically. So you have to file sales tax, you'll not have to pay on it.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I was like, I have no idea.
Okay. And then we've got, let's see. Does the revenue online site also show information for registered LLCs or just sales tax, like renewal forms and stuff like that?
Nope. So that's going to be on the Colorado Secretary of State, just shows information for like your LLC, like whether it's been filed with the state and when you need to renew it or do a periodic report. That's all through, and that's linked into this presentation through the Secretary of State website.
Can I pay my special sales tax with my revenue online account?
I am not sure. I would think, like, what do you mean by like special event sales tax? Is that what you're talking about?
Yep.
Okay, yes, I believe you can. So if I understand correctly, I believe it will set it up as its own. So you'll have like your regular state sales tax, but kind of like you have like different counties that you can pay in. I believe it has did you see how mine had like my delivery sales, that account that was closed? I would have filed those in there.
What I am, and that's where there's some confusion with different companies. Some of the big companies are filing it with their regular, but if you look at the special events rules, it says it has to be filed the 20th of the next month.
Yep.
And from what I understand, that is not online. It's only a paper, well, it's a totally different portal for special sales tax.
I can check into it. Devin, would you mind like taking down who had that question? I can't, just for you guys, when I'm presenting, I can't necessarily see the chat. Otherwise you guys would be in the middle of my presentation screen. So Devin, if you'll like put that down for me, I will make sure I follow up with Department of Revenue and get back.
Yes, got it.
Making a note for myself. Any other questions?
Yes, we've got, let's see here.
I've got kind of a long one there if you want me just to read it.
Yeah, go ahead, Liz.
Okay, thanks. Hey, Candace.
Hi.
Yeah, thanks so much for doing this. So I applied online. I've done this before and successfully. That's my confusion. Applied online, got the online printout. Here's your account number. Great. Wondering what's going on, trying to use it elsewhere. I called Department of Revenue. They say there's no such account number. So I'm like, oh dear. So I can't, My Biz Colorado, I guess, because they think they assigned me one, won't let me go through the easy process to get another one. So am I stuck with the paper form? And that looks like it takes a long time, and I'm concerned because we're doing sales now and I'd love to get that organized. So do I go in person to one of those 4 or 5 offices I see in Colorado? Do I have a drive to the Springs in my future to knock that out?
Honestly, I would try to get on the phone with somebody first. If it's saying that the
Yep.
sales tax number that you're trying to use doesn't exist, then it does sound like there was a problem with
Yeah.
your application, and I wouldn't want to pay it online because then who even knows where A, the money is going, but B, I wouldn't even mail in the form because it just then if
Yeah.
it doesn't exist to them,
Yeah,
even if you mail it in, who even knows what that's going to get applied to? So I
Right.
think have somebody call you back and then set up an appointment to drive up if you need to, but also just troubleshoot with somebody, I think, over the phone to see if they can't fix it for you.
yeah, they said maybe you didn't pay for it. Anyway, I'll try again, like we said with bureaucracy, sometimes you get a different person the next time, it'll work out. So
Sure,
Thank
because
you.
I just think I would not trust to mail in that form if they are pulling up that number and saying it doesn't exist.
Yep, got it. Thank you.
Can I ask a quick question? With the farmers market, we give a portion of our sales to the Food Shed Alliance every, 15% of our sales. But we're taxing as we're selling. And I'm not really sure like where we note, we're noting how much we're giving to them, but how do we I don't know.
I am thinking,
Do we get it reimbursed or I don't know what to
do
do
you
with that.
see this number 4 on the screen I'm on? It says sales to exempt entities and organizations. I don't have, so this list of deductions, like, I would think if you're donating that maybe, well, you can't not tax the sales because you're doing a portion.
Right, that's where we're kind of. And that looks to me, because that was another question I had, but I see it now, like when I sell to nonprofits and have their tax exempt information.
You entered as a deduction there.
Right, that makes sense, but then this, it's a little different because I'm not really selling to them, I'm just giving them a portion of.
Do you file online?
Yes,
Sorry, I'm making myself a note here. So what
I can email you.
yeah, that would be great because I'll look into it for you, but I'm wondering if I scrolled further down this list, if it gave me a spot to exempt for donations. Or I'm wondering if when you're donating, you should get a slip back from them at the end of the year.
The total, I mean, we get the individual ones each time because it's like carbon copy.
So I think the form that you get from them at the end of the year reduces your like tax liability.
And then
Like-
that would just be on our annual taxes or something?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
But I will also try to check into that if you don't mind emailing. So I'm gonna, are there other questions, Devin?
Just one more. It is, I may potentially sell my products to local stores for them to resell, which could be on consignment or wholesale. It could be me renting the space within the store to sell my products. But it'll all run through that particular storefront. The store who will handle the sales, take a cut of the sales, rent, etc. How is the sales tax process different based on what type of relationship this might be?
So my understanding is if you are not charging sales tax to them, then you're not remitting sales tax. They would be charging sales tax and remitting it to the state. Now, if you're charging them some sort of like sales tax, then you would be responsible for remitting the sales tax. Does that answer that question? I hope I understood correctly.
Did that answer it, Brooke?
You wouldn't both be remitting sales tax.
That makes sense, for the most part. Would that be the same if it was consignment? Like, it doesn't matter, I guess, what relationship that is, it's all the same.
Yeah, it just
Okay.
mattered. The only thing, whoever's collecting sales tax, charging it, that person has to remit it. You
Okay.
wouldn't have any liability if you're not adding a sales tax onto your consignment product.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording here. So thank you very much, Candace, and thanks everyone for being here.
And I put my email in the end of these slides. We'll email them out, but then it's also there if you need it.
Perfect. Thank you.